like I said, the very last set of cars these machines hit in this side-by-side competition, they must get airborne, land on top of the cars, and they cannot touch the ground or they will be disqualified. The first pair in this round-robin elimination-style program will feature the near lane, aimed one way as opposed to his opponent. It's Jim Reese, one of his first times at the U.S. Association Trail with the Chevrolet, sponsored by AM/PM Mini Marts, the AM/PM Boss, a supercharged big block Chevrolet power plant in that 18,000-pound piece of Chevrolet. His opponent, however, in the bright red Jeep that you see down there on the starting line, is longtime U.S. Hot Rod Association standout Jeff Boehner. Boehner's Jeep, called Hot Stuff, has one of the shortest wheelbases of any monster truck in the world. Although it's not real heavy, only about 12,000 pounds, it can get airborne with the best of them, Shelley.
Well, he's really into this. I talked to them yesterday, he and Debbie, his co-driver, and they said that they're getting another truck ready, and hopefully we'll be seeing that pretty soon.
We indeed see a new Hot Stuff Jeep. They leave the starting line on the signal from the starter, and now they hit the first set of cars. Boehner sideways on his cars. The AM/PM Boss Chevrolet doing a fine job of landing. Now they will head to the other end of Anaheim Stadium as they have prepared to crisscross, hitting two different sets of crushed cars. Boehner over the cars first. He gets airborne. The AM/PM Boss Chevrolet now lands, and now they head for those final cars in which they must hit and land squarely on top of. Here's Boehner in the Yakima, Washington Jeep. He's airborne. He lands, and he's in good shape. But no, the tires are on the ground for the little Jeep from Yakima, Washington. The AM/PM Boss will take the win. He lands squarely on the cars. Jim Reese, a great job in the Chevy. Poor Jeff Boehner is sitting there with the far side wheels on the ground.
2 wheels off, 2 wheels on. Not good enough for a win.
You know, originally I thought he had landed nicely on the cars, but as you can see, the right side tires are on the ground. I'll tell you, our event director, Ken Donay, set this unique format up. The drivers thought he was crazy. Nobody ever had to do anything like this before. It looks like the AM/PM Boss must have broken something pretty seriously in the front end. You can see the front end cocked. And looking at his replay of the very first hit that Reese made, he was plenty airborne, landing in the middle of the cars. And then a rather unusual little bounce at the end. The front end comes up, and then all 4 wheels are actually off the ground as he makes the turn for that crisscross jump. Boehner's first hit was nice. He landed square in the center of the cars, but it was his last jump where he was supposed to land on the cars that really got out of control. Way up in the air. You can see the right front and then the right rear coming down on the ground, but he'll advance anyway.
Well, Shelley, with Jeff Boehner and the Hot Stuff Jeep back in the program because of that problem with Jim Reese's Chevrolet, this is a match the crowd really wants to see.
And they were on their feet the minute Bigfoot hit the stadium.
This is Jim Kramer, the #1 driver on Bob Chandler's Bigfoot four-wheel drive truck team. One of the last times we'll see one of the heavyweight original Bigfoot Fords coming out because, as you well know, Shelley, Jim Kramer and Bob Chandler have been working on a lightweight race truck that they say will be the racer to end them all.
Boy, and they still give people a run for their money in this one, too.
That's true. Kramer is by far one of the best four-wheel drive drivers we've ever seen. He's also one of the wildest, not afraid to take risks. In fact, one of the new drivers we'll be seeing later on in this competition reminded us an awful lot of a young Jim Kramer. So Jeff Boehner in the Hot Stuff Jeep in the near lane. Of course, the dreaded Bigfoot Ford, 15,000 pounds of the toughest monster truck ever built, will go at it here in the four-wheel drive portion of this battle of monsters. Remember, we still have the tanks to determine their champion.
There they go.
On the green flag, they move up. Kramer, unbelievable landing. Same thing for Jeff Boehner. These guys are going for blood, but a lot of smoke coming out of Bigfoot. Jim Kramer may have problems as he hits the second set of cars. The truck almost enveloped in a fog bank. Now, Boehner in the Hot Stuff Jeep tries to make it around to the last set of cars before Kramer. Kramer can't steer. Bigfoot and Jeff Boehner drops a tire on the ground for a second, but he lands on the cars. We have just seen one of the biggest upsets imaginable as Jim Kramer jumps out of Bigfoot. Listen to the crowd cheering Jeff Boehner for the victory.
Damage occurred on the very first hit in one of the most incredible leaps we've seen a Bigfoot take. The landing so rough, it was bound to create mechanical problems.
And now, the new tank machines will go at it, and the winner of the tank round-robin battle will take on Jeff Boehner in the Hot Stuff Jeep four-wheeler. In the near lane, it's the California Gold Chevrolet of Phil Thompson behind the wheel. Arlen Smith, his co-owner, will take on the incredible new TRAX Attack from North Dakota, believe it or not. This is the first tank truck built like Bob Chandler's new Bigfoot Fast Tracks with a full suspension. And I gotta tell you, one of the wildest we've ever seen. Airborne in the new track attack as the California Gold Machine has problems over the first set of cars. Moving up to the second set of crush cars. The track attack again airborne, but hard landing with a lot of smoke out of the cockpit. May spell problems for the new North Dakota tank. Whizzing around with the cockpit completely sucked in with smoke. The truck attack lands on the last set of cars as the California Gold Chevy of Phil Tonseth breaks over the second set of crush cars. But look at the smoke billowing from the interior of the track attack. There you see the broken California Gold Chevrolet. Look at the smoke pouring out of the cockpit of the North Dakota snowmobile.
Safety crew is racing over there just to make sure everything's all right.
Tremendous amount of smoke for the North Dakota track attack fully suspended tank with Chevrolet power. It'll be interesting to see if he can make it back around for the tank battle final. As indeed his win will put him in that particular position.
Well, Ernie Brookins hits the second set of cars, but the smoke was already billowing out of the windows in midair. So that meant the problem that occurred happened long before he actually made that hit. What's really amazing is that Brookins could see where he was going to land on that last set of cars. The cockpit completely full of smoke. He makes the last hit, gets plenty of air, and manages to hit the brakes, so land squarely on the last set.
Shelley Herman, this looks like the battle that the crowd has waited to see. Bob Chandler's BIGFOOT Fast Trax fully suspended tank against this incredible piece of equipment.
Well, Bob himself is actually driving the BIGFOOT Fast Trax, and in Orange Blossom Express, we have a quite unusual design here. It's so unusual, in fact, that when they were testing it out a little earlier, they had to actually let some of the air out of the seat so that the driver wouldn't hit his head.
That's right. This is Alan Gaines, the man behind the long line of Orange Blossom Special pulling machines. One of the first drivers ever to debut a two-wheel drive, wheel-standing exhibition puller on the U.S. Off-Road Association Trail way back in the mid-1970s. He, of course, advanced to the machine that we saw earlier today, the Midnight Express, twin-engine 1925 Ford puller. But this new locomotive is beyond belief. An actual M4 Army personnel carrier tank chassis with a real live locomotive body. That is not a scaled down model. It is an honest to goodness train body.
Well, I think he's going to do more than chug along today. He's really got his work cut out for him.
Big block Chevrolet motivation in the train, the Orange Blossom Special. But Bob Chandler's incredible BIGFOOT Fast Trax, well known as the fastest tank ever built. And indeed, Chandler needs to win this one to go to the final round. Ready for the green flag to signal the start of this incredible side-by-side tank battle. The world's wildest locomotive against the world's fastest tank, with Bob Chandler himself doing the driving of the low-riding Ford twin-engine machine from St. Louis, Missouri.
And once again, remember, they have to land on top of the cars. No part of the track can be off of the cars or they'll be disqualified.
The smoke pouring from the smokestack of the Orange Blossom Special leaves the stack as they head for the first set of cars. Bob Chandler airborne as always in the incredible lowrider Ford tank. Now it looks like Alan Gaines is still having problems being thrown around in the cockpit of the Orange Blossom Special. Chandler hits the second set of crush cars. He's almost halfway around the track before Gaines ever makes it to the second set of cars. And Chandler will bring it around to the finish line as Gaines hits the second set of machines. Chandler lands on top of the final set of cars, and Alan Gaines gets thrown around the cockpit of this incredible train. But there is the winner. Bob Chandler lifts the Ford van body up above the M4 Armored Personnel Carrier chassis and takes the win in this first round of tank action.
And I think the Orange Blossom Express was having some steering trouble there. He had a real hard time negotiating some of those curves earlier.
Well, this is the very first time ever for Alan Gaines in this train. You can hear the actual real live brass steam whistle going off next to the smokestack there. But as Alan Gaines makes his first ever passes in a tank, let's face it, these things don't have steering wheels. They have two steering handles that are like driving a bulldozer or a tank. And that takes a little bit of getting used to. There's no question about that.
As Bob Chandler tips his hat to the crowd. They're
Indeed.
most appreciative.
Chandler, as always, coming through straight and true for a big, big win here. As we look at the slow motion replay of Bob Chandler's first hit on the first set of crush cars, watch the suspension on this tank work, especially when it comes down with Chandler inside. It's actually almost a soft ride, Shelley.
If that's a soft ride, I wouldn't want to be in a tough one.
Right, here's the last jump as Bob Chandler brings it around for the finish to land on top of those cars. Straight and true, steering it like a pro. He brings it up and down for the grand finale.